He was the most beloved king of Israel, a brave warrior, poet, worshiper, anointed by God, feared by his enemies. But even the greatest of men can fall from the highest place. A glance, a desire, a decision that would mark his destiny and that of all his descendants.
Please, I haven't done anything. I am a loyal soldier. I don't deserve this.
You are that man. The sword shall never depart from your house.
His sin brought judgment, but also a new promise. For out of failure came redemption. Out of shame arose the lineage of the Savior.
Create in me, O God, a clean heart.
Before he was king, he was a shepherd. Before he wore a crown, he held a sling. Before his fall, he was God's chosen one. David, the anointed one, the one who danced before the ark, the one who composed psalms beneath the stars, the warrior who unified Israel, the servant who captured the heart of the Most High. This is the story of the king who loved, who sinned, who lost. David and Bathsheba, a story that changed the king of Israel.
In the spring, the time when kings went out to war, David sent Joab with the royal guard and the whole army of Israel to destroy the Ammonites and besiege the city of Rabbah. But David remained in Jerusalem. One afternoon, when David rose from his bed, he began to walk along the roof of the palace, and from there he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful, so David ordered someone to find out who she was, and they told him,
This is about Bathsheba, who is the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite.
Then David ordered that she be brought to him. When Bathsheba arrived, he slept with her. Afterward, she returned home. Bathsheba had just purified herself from her menstruation, so she became pregnant and sent word to David. Then David sent this message to Joab.
Send me Uriah the Hittite.
And Joab did so. When Uriah came, David asked how Joab and the soldiers were, and how the war was going. Then he said,
Go down to your house and wash your feet.
As soon as he left the palace, Uriah received a gift from the king. But instead of going home, he lay down at the entrance of the palace, where the royal guard slept. David was told that Uriah had not gone home, so he asked,
You've had a long trip. Why didn't you go home?
Right now, the ark, the men of Israel and Judah are living in temporary shelters, and my lord Joab and his officers are camping in the open field. Am I then to go into my house to eat, drink, and lie with my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing.
Well, then stay here today, and tomorrow I will send you back.
So Uriah stayed that day in Jerusalem. But the next day David invited him to a banquet and made him drunk. Even then, Uriah did not go home, but again slept where the royal guard stayed. Following morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. The letter said,
Put Uriah at the front of the battle, where the fighting is fiercest. Then leave him alone, so that he is struck down and killed.
So, when Joab had besieged the city, he placed Uriah where he knew the strongest defenders were. The men of the city came out and fought Joab, and among David's officers who fell in battle, Uriah the Hittite also died. Then Joab sent David a full report of the battle. He instructed the messenger.
When you have finished giving the king all the details of the battle, the king may become angry and ask you, "Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot from the wall? Who killed Abimelech's son of Jerubbesheth? Wasn't it a woman who dropped a millstone on him from the wall of Thebez so that he died? Why did you get so closer to the wall? If he asks you this, then say, 'Your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead as well.'"
The messenger set out. When he arrived, he told David everything Joab had instructed him.
The enemy soldiers overpowered us, but when they came out to the open field, we drove them back to the entrance of the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows from the wall at your majesty's servants, and some of the king's men died. Your servant Uriah the Hittite also died.
Tell Joab on my behalf not to be so upset about what has happened. Also tell him to resume the attack against the city until it is destroyed.
When Bathsheba heard that her husband Uriah had died, she mourned for him. After the time of mourning was over, David brought her into his house. She became his wife and bore him a son. But what David had done displeased the Lord. So the Lord sent Nathan to David. When Nathan came to him, he said, So the Lord sent Nathan to David. When Nathan came to him, he said,
2 men lived in a town. One was rich, and the other poor. The rich man had very many sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb he had bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It ate from his plate, drank from his cup, and slept in his arms. To him it was like a daughter. But one day a traveler came to visit the rich man, and instead of taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare for his guest, he took the poor man's one lamb and prepared it for the traveler.
David burned with anger against that man and said to Nathan,
As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die. How could he do such a vile thing? He must pay back 4 times the value of the lamb.
You are that man. The Lord says to you, I made you king. I rescued you from Saul. I gave you everything. And if all this had not been enough, I would have given you even more. But you despised my word. You killed Uriah to steal his wife. Therefore, violence will never leave your household. You despised me, and disaster will rise from your own family. Before your very eyes, I will take your wives and give them to another. What you did in secret, I will expose before all Israel in broad daylight.
I have sinned against the Lord.
The Lord has taken away your sin. You will not die, but your son will die, for by your actions you have shown utter contempt for the Lord.
Then Nathan went home, and the Lord struck the child that the wife of Uriah had borne to David, and the boy became gravely ill. David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and spent the nights lying on the ground. The elders of his household stood beside him to get him up from the ground, but he refused, and he would not eat with them. On the 7th day, the child died. David's officials were afraid to tell him the child was dead, for they said,
When the boy was still alive, we spoke to the king, but he would not listen to us. How can we tell him the child is dead? He may do something desperate.
David noticed his officials whispering, and he realized what had happened. So he asked,
Is the child dead?
Yes, he is dead.
Then David got up from the ground. He washed, put on lotions, and changed his clothes. He went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he returned to his house, asked for food to be brought to him, and he ate.
What kind of behavior is this? When he was alive, you fasted and cried, but now that he has died, you get up and start eating.
Afterward, David went to comfort his wife Bathsheba, and he slept with her. She gave birth to a son, and they named him Solomon. The Lord loved the child, and sent word through the prophet Nathan to give him the name Jedediah by the Lord's command. Meanwhile, Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured the royal citadel. Then he sent messengers to tell David,
I have just attacked Rabbah and captured the water supplies. Now I ask you to mobilize the rest of the troops to besiege and capture the city.
So David, mustering all his troops, marched against Rabbah, attacked it, and captured it. He took the crown of gold from the head of the Ammonite king. It weighed a talent and was set with precious stones, and it was placed on David's head. He carried off a great quantity of plunder from the city. He brought out the people who were there and put them to work with saws, picks, and iron axes, and also forced them to labor at brick kilns. David did the same to all the Ammonite towns. Then he returned with all his troops to Jerusalem. Some time later, the following happened. Absalom, son of David, had a very beautiful sister named Tamar, and Amnon, another son of David, fell in love with her. But since Tamar was a virgin, Amnon became so frustrated that he felt sick, for it seemed impossible for him to do anything to her. Now Amnon had a very crafty friend named Jonadab, son of Shimea, David's brother.
How is it that you, a prince, look worse every day? Why don't you tell me what's going on with you?
I'm very much in love with Tamar, the sister of my half-brother Absalom.
Go, lie down and pretend you are sick. When your father comes to see you, say, please let my sister Tamar come to feed me.
So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. When the king came to see him, Amnon said,
Please let my sister Tamar come and make 2 cakes for me right here and serve them to me.
So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, where he was lying down. She took some dough, kneaded it, made the cakes in his sight, and baked them. Then she took the pan and served him. But he refused to eat and said,
Everyone leave me?
So everyone left him. Then Amnon said to Tamar,
Bring the food into my bedroom, so I may eat it from your hand.
Tamar took the cakes she had made and brought them to her brother Amnon in his bedroom. But when she brought them near for him to eat, he grabbed her and said,
Come to bed with me, my sister.
No, my brother, don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. Where could I carry my shame? And as for you, you would be regarded as a vile man in Israel. Please, may I speak to the king? He will not withhold me from you.
But Amnon refused to listen. Instead, using his strength, he lay with her and raped her. Then Amnon hated her with an intense hatred. In fact, he hated her even more than he had loved her before.
Get up and get out!
Do not throw me out of here! After what you have done to me, throwing me out would be an even more terrible cruelty!
But he would not listen to her. He called his servant and gave the order.
You're too much! Get this woman out of here and close the door!
So his servant put her out and bolted the door behind her. Tamar was wearing an ornate robe, for that was the kind of garment the virgin daughters of the king wore. As she went out, she put ashes on her head, tore her robe, and with her hands on her head she went away, crying aloud as she went.
Calm down. Keep calm and don't say anything for now.
And Tamar lived, desolate, in her brother Absalom's house. When King David heard of all this, he was furious. As for Absalom, he never spoke a word to Amnon, neither good nor bad. He hated him because he had violated his sister Tamar. 2 years later, Absalom invited all the king's sons to a banquet at Baal-Hazor, near the border of Ephraim, where he was having his men shear sheep. He went to the king and said,
Of the queen, this servant of yours has shearers working. I beg your majesty to come with your court.
No, my son. We should not all go, as we would be a burden to you.
Absalom urged him, but the king refused to go, though he gave him his blessing. Then Absalom said,
Since you are not coming, why don't you let my brother Amnon accompany us?
Why should he go with you?
But Absalom pressed him until he consented, and Amnon and the rest of the king's sons went with him. Now Absalom had instructed his servants,
Do not lose sight of Amnon. And when his heart is merry with wine, I will give the signal to attack and you will kill him. Do not be afraid, for it is I who gives the order.
The servants did to Amnon just as Absalom had ordered. Then all the other sons of the king got up, mounted their mules, and fled. They were still on the way when a rumor reached David. All the king's sons have been killed. The king stood up, tore his robes in mourning, and lay down on the ground. All his officials with him also tore their garments. But Jonadab, son of Shemiah, David's brother, spoke up.
My lord must not think that all the princes have been killed. Only Amnon is dead. This has been Absalom's plan ever since the day Amnon violated his sister Tamar. My lord, the king, must not be distressed by the false report that all your sons are dead. Only Amnon is dead.
The watchman looked up and saw many people coming down the hillside along the road west of Horonaim. He went and reported to the king.
I see people coming along the road from Horonaim down the mountainside.
Meanwhile, Absalom had fled. Then Jonadab said to the king,
Here come the king's children, just as I told you.
Absalom stayed in Geshur for 3 years. And when King David had been comforted concerning Amnon's death, he longed to see Absalom. 2 years later, Joab noticed something important. The king deeply missed his son Absalom, so he devised a plan to bring him back. When the woman came before the king, she bowed with her face to the ground and said,
Help me, my lord the king.
I am a poor widow. My husband died and I have 2 young ones. One killed the other in a fight, and now my whole family is demanding that I hand over the murderer so they can kill him.
Go home, and I will issue an order on your behalf.
Let the blame fall on me and my family, not on His Majesty or his throne.
If someone threatens you, bring them to me, so they won't bother you again.
I beg you, invoke the Lord your God, so that the avenger of blood will not kill the other son also, thus destroying my family line.
As surely as the Lord lives, not a hair of your son's head will fall to the ground.
May the king permit me to say one more thing. Why then refuse to bring back your banished son? We are like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again.
I will ask you something, and I urge you not to hide anything from me.
Speak, my lord the king.
Was it not Joab who instructed you in this?
As surely as you live, my lord, it was Joab. He told me what to say in order to change your mind. But you, O king, have the wisdom of an angel of God.
Very well. Go. Bring Absalom back.
Joab bowed down, thanked the king. Then he went to Geshur, brought Absalom back to Jerusalem.
Permítase que se retire a su casa y nunca más me visite.
So Absalom returned, but was forbidden to see David. In all Israel, there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance. From the top of his head to the sole of his foot, he was without blemish. His hair was thick and heavy, and once a year, when he cut it, it weighed over 200 shekels by the royal standard. He had 3 sons and a daughter named Tamar, who was very beautiful. For 2 years Absalom lived in Jerusalem without seeing the king. One day he asked Joab to go to the king on his behalf, but Joab refused. Absalom sent for him a second time, and still Joab refused. Then Absalom said to his servants,
Joab's field is next to mine, where he has barley. Go and set it on fire.
So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab went to Absalom's house and demanded,
Why did your servants set my field on fire?
I asked you to speak to the king on my behalf, but you didn't want to. It would have been better to stay in Geshur. I will go myself before my father, and if I have sinned, let him kill me.
So Joab went to the king and told him this. Then the king summoned Absalom, and he came and bowed down with his face to the ground before the king. And the king kissed Absalom. After some time, Absalom began to prepare his rebellion. He acquired chariots, horses, and 50 men to run ahead of him. Every morning he would stand by the road leading to the city gate, and whenever anyone came with a complaint to be placed before the king for a decision, Absalom would call out,
What town are you from? Your cause is just, but no one from the king will attend to you. If I were a judge, I would bring justice to everyone.
Absalom greeted the people with embraces and kisses, winning the hearts of the men of Israel. After 4 years, he asked the king for permission to go to Hebron to fulfill a vow he had made to the Lord. David approved. But secretly, Absalom sent messengers throughout Israel with this message.
When you hear the horn, say, Absalom reigns in Hebron.
We have to flee now! If we don't escape, Absalom will destroy everything! Let's go!
At your service, your majesty.
David left the city with his household, leaving 10 concubines behind to take care of the palace. He stopped at the edge of the city, while all his soldiers marched past him, including 600 Gittites led by Ittai.
You are a foreigner, a recent exile. Go back. I will not drag you into an uncertain fate.
As surely as the Lord lives, wherever you are, there I will be, for life or death.
Then come with us.
The people wept aloud as David crossed the Kidron Valley on the road to the wilderness. Zadok, the Levites, and the Ark of the Covenant went with him. Abiathar was offering sacrifices, but David said,
Return to the city with the ark. If the Lord grants me favor, I will see it again. If not, let him do with me as he wishes. Go back with your children and keep me informed.
So Zadok and Abiathar took the ark back to Jerusalem. David climbed the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered, and his feet were bare. All the people with him wept as well. Then David was told that Ahithophel had joined Absalom.
Lord, please turn Ahithophel's counsel into foolishness. Do not come with me. Go back to the city and present yourself to Absalom as his servant. That way you can frustrate the advice of Ahithophel.
Hushai agreed. When he entered Jerusalem, Absalom was arriving in the city. As David moved a little beyond the summit, he met Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth. Ziba had 2 donkeys loaded with 200 loaves of bread, 100 cakes of raisins, 100 cakes of figs, and a skin of wine.
What is all this for?
The donkeys are for his majesty's family, the bread and fruit for his soldiers, and the wine for those who faint in the desert.
And where is your master's grandson?
He stayed in Jerusalem. He believes that now Israel will return his grandfather's kingdom to him.
So, everything that belonged to Mephibosheth is now yours.
Sir, I humbly bow before you. May you always have the favor of my lord and king.
When King David reached Bahurim, a man from the family of Saul, named Shimei, son of Gera, came out cursing and throwing stones at David and all his officials, though the king was surrounded by his royal guard.
Get out of here, murderer, scoundrel! The Lord punishes you for having destroyed the house of Saul. That is why the king has not passed to your son Absalom. You have fallen for being a murderer.
How dare this dead dog curse the king? Let me cut off his head. This is not your concern, son of Zeruiah. Perhaps the Lord has ordered him to curse me. Leave it. Perhaps the Lord will see my affliction and bless me for these curses.
Shimei kept cursing, throwing stones, and showering dust as David and his men, weary and exhausted, reached their destination and rested there. Meanwhile, Absalom and his entire entourage, with Ahithophel alongside him, entered Jerusalem. Then Hushai, David's loyal friend, came out to meet Absalom.
Long live the king! Long live the king!
I am with the chosen one of the Lord of the people and of Israel. As I served the father, so I will now serve the son.
Ahithophel, tell us what we should do.
Lie with the concubines your father left. Then all of Israel will know that you have made yourself odious to David, and your followers will be strengthened in you.
So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and in the sight of all Israel, he slept with his father's concubines. In those days, the advice of Ahithophel was regarded as if one inquired of the very word of God. Such was his counsel to both David and Absalom. Then Ahithophel proposed a plan to Absalom.
Choose 12,000 soldiers and pursue David tonight. He is exhausted and scared. They will all flee. I will kill only the king and bring the rest back with you.
Turner, do we accept Ahithophel's advice, or what do you think?
It's not a good plan. David and his men are warriors. Now they must be furious like a bear, robbed of her cubs. Surely he is hiding, not among his people.
Yes, Ahithophel proposed to attack tonight. I suggested something else. Quickly, tell David to cross the river tonight.
Jonathan and Ahimaaz were staying at En-Rogel. A servant girl used to carry them messages, but they were spotted and had to flee. They hid in a well at Bahurim, covered by a woman who spread grain over the opening. The soldiers searched but found nothing. After they left, Jonathan and Ahimaaz went and warned David.
They are from Absalom. Cross the Jordan now! Ahithophel wanted to attack them.
At Mahanaim, 3 loyal men came out to meet David, Shobi, Makir, and Barzillai. They brought beds, cooking pots, wheat, barley, honey, cheese, meat, and milk.
We think your people are hungry, thirsty, and exhausted in the desert.
And so, in the midst of conflict, David was strengthened by friendly hands. David organized his army into 3 divisions, under Joab, Abishai, and Ittai. The king wanted to go into battle, but his soldiers stopped him.
You are worth 10,000 of us. Better to support us from the city.
Very well. I will do what you think best.
As the troops marched out, David gave them a clear order.
For my sake, deal gently with the young Absalom.
In the forest of Ephraim, a fierce battle broke out. 20,000 men fell that day. The very terrain seemed to devour more than the sword. Absalom, riding on a mule, was caught under the branches of a great oak. His head was caught fast, and he was left hanging between heaven and earth. Soldiers saw this and reported it to Joab.
Did you see him and not kill him? I would have given you 10 cycles and a belt. Not even for 1,000 shekels would I touch it. We all heard the king's order.
I will not waste time with you.
Joab took 3 spears in his hand, approached Absalom, and thrust them into his heart. Then his armor-bearers closed in and finished him off. The army stopped the pursuit, and they buried Absalom's body under a great heap of stones in the forest. In his lifetime, Absalom had built a monument in his own name, where he said he had no son to carry on his memory. Ahimaaz asked to run with the news.
Let me run to the king and tell him the Lord has delivered him.
Not today. The king's son is dead. But Ahimaaz kept insisting until Joab finally let him go. So Ahimaaz ran by way of the plain and outran the Cushite. David was sitting between the two gates, waiting for news. The watchman saw two men running toward the city.
One of them runs like Ahimaaz.
He is a good man. God has delivered your enemies into your hand.
And Absalom. Is the young Absalom safe?
I saw a commotion when I left. I do not know what happened.
Stand aside and wait.
Good news, my lord the king. Today the Lord has delivered you.
And Absalom, is my son safe?
May all the king's enemies end up like that young man.
David trembled. He went up to the room over the gate, weeping, and with a broken heart he cried out,
Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died in your place. Absalom, my son.
David's army returned from the forest of Ephraim with victory in their hands, but with broken hearts. There was no music, no celebration. Absalom, the king's son, was dead, the rebel, the traitor, but also the beloved son. David did not rejoice as a king. He wept as a father. His sorrow was not only for the loss of a son, but for the guilt that haunted him. His sin with Bathsheba had brought judgment upon his house, just as the prophet Nathan had warned. The sword will never depart from your family. And so it was. Death, violence, and betrayal rose up within his own household. God had forgiven him, yet the consequences remained. Sin deceives, seduces, and then demands a heavy price. The death of Absalom was the peak of a foretold tragedy, the mirror in which David saw his own darkness reflected. And yet, the story did not end there. From Bathsheba was born Solomon, the child loved by God, a sign that grace is greater than failure. The same Lord who judges also restores, and from the womb of the woman marked by sin came forth Israel's wisest king. This reminds us that God does not abandon those who repent. Though we face the consequences, his love does not depart. What the enemy meant for destruction, God can use to lift us up and glorify his name. Your worst mistake is not your end. If you have fallen, if you think all is lost, return to God. He can write a new story with you, just as he did with David. Where sin abounds, grace abounds even more. Rise up, for he is waiting for you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. If this story touched your heart, don't leave without leaving a comment. We want to hear from you. In which part of David's life did you see yourself reflected? What teaching struck you the most? Remember, this channel exists to bring light through the scriptures. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and activate the bell, not just to watch videos, but to be part of something greater. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it. Perhaps today, with just one click, you could change a life forever. See you in the next video. May God bless you greatly. Amen.